Good evening, everyone. It's Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai, and I want to welcome everyone. Today's talk, we're going to have an interesting talk today, and it's going to be on Elon Musk equals AOC equals Elizabeth Warren equals carbon tax equals dollars for them. That's what we're going to talk about today. And as people are joining, let me make a couple of prefatory remarks. Over the last several weeks, in fact, probably for the several months, many of you know I've been doing a critical analysis of what's been going on with the quote unquote Twitter files and Elon Musk. And I've been highly critical of this for one singular reason, is because over 3 years ago, as many of you know, or nearly 3 years ago, as many of you know, it was our historic lawsuit in Massachusetts which exposed that there is a portal between government and Twitter. And we were the first ones to expose this in a very, very detailed analysis. Not only did we expose this, but we also filed a major lawsuit that had many, many victories. One of the most important things to understand from that lawsuit was that none of the quote unquote conservative media grifters covered it. They, in fact, concealed it. And I've been very critical of that because after 2 years later, these Johnny-come-latelys are now talking about the quote unquote Twitter files. And it's really complete nonsense because all of these conservative media had an opportunity to cover this over a year ago. And it's not like they did not know, they knew damn well. And for example, recently I was put back on Twitter, and I'll just show you some of those slides that will let you know how egregious their lack of disclosure, in fact, concealment of this. In fact, here's a tweet that I did back on October 20th. Being silenced on Twitter by Twitter is bad. We would call that censorship. But now consider if your government, the state, notifies Twitter to have you silenced for 14 days, 2 7-day bans for sharing facts exposing state corruption. What do you call that? So that was on October 20th that I shared that. And then if you go look at the history of our lawsuits, we've been talking about this for 3 years, but none of the conservative media grifters covered this. And when you unravel that, you'll come down to a much, much deeper understanding of what actually took place. And what you'll understand is because we have built a very powerful independent movement that is beyond left and right, which we'll talk about. And that movement, it is what won those lawsuits, which is what put this the understanding out there to 200 million people over the last 2 years, not these grifters. And in fact, they don't want to cover this because this will mean that people will get a strong back and stand up and build their own movement, which is what we do at Truth, Freedom, Health, versus sucking up to the Democrats or sucking up to the Republicans or being in one camp or the other. And that to enlighten you to all of that, which I may discuss a little bit later, but I want all of you to go as your homework assignment and for your families and to really get your head clear on this. I'm going to put up an article here everyone should go read, and I'll bring it up for everyone's observation right here. And that's this. It's an article I just put up there so you guys can go look at it. Elon Musk equals censorship and surveillance, a false god for free speech, leading you to slavery in an ever expanding censorship and surveillance state across land, sea, air, space, in which Elon Musk is fully entrenched in and economically dependent on for his power, profit, and control. This was the infrastructure that we revealed nearly 3 years ago. And the important point everyone needs to understand is we're at a point where we got to really watch people's actions. Elon Musk still has not dismantled this government censorship infrastructure, which allows government to have a backdoor portal to Twitter. And I was a victim of that. And we were the first ones to discover that, our movement and my work back in 2020. And credit is important because it leads you to who you should follow in terms of understanding the political theory and which movement you should follow. It's not Republicans or Democrats. Those people have been part of this, okay? We discovered these playbooks. So we discovered 3 things: the Twitter Partner Support Portal. We discovered the process of how they commit censorship. And we also discovered this network diagram. All of this we discovered over 2 years ago. And what's really important to understand, that Elon Musk and his media grifter sycophants are now committed to acting as though they had no idea of this historic 2020 federal lawsuit. Over 2 years ago, where again, we discovered all of these things. But if you go to winbackfreedom.com, we've had all of this up. And what's really interesting is that these same people are now claiming, who now claim to be against censorship, are the ones who censored our censorship lawsuit. They didn't cover it, even though they knew about it. And now they claim they're suddenly discovering big tech collusion, and they're starting to behave as though this is breaking news. And in fact, they made our stuff invisible. And why are they doing this? The reason they're doing this, and I want you to go to read this article, I'm just giving the high points, is that the reason for this nefarious and unethical behavior is their fear that an independent news outlet like ours, and more importantly, an independent movement that is beyond left and right, one which cannot control, will deliver real change independent of their theatrics and deception, coming bottoms up from everyday people that will not wait patiently for their false gods, Trump or Musk, okay? And one of the key things we'll talk about is a movement is about coupling truth and action. It's not about making you lazy with lies and half-truths like all these entertainers do, nor is it about just giving you truth without decoupled from action. So I want to encourage all of you guys to go read that article, because we can't afford to one day follow Obama, another day follow Trump, and another day follow Musk and be really stupid, okay? And I've been very, very critical of people. Oh, why are you attacking Musk? Are you jealous of him? Are you an idiot is my question, okay? The real issue is, do people want to have any self-dignity? All right. So as a part of this, I want to now take a big step back and ask all of you, if they're quote unquote conservatives here or quote unquote liberals here, what if I were to tell you that Elon Musk equals AOC equals Elizabeth Warren equals carbon tax equals your subjugation? Okay. And if you think about it, as this article goes into detail, and I want all of you to read this article, it says, here's a bare truth. Elon Musk is a false god created by the government for the government to mislead freedom-loving Americans, okay? And if you really think about it, whether you're in a Tesla or on Twitter or in a boat or a plane or connecting to SpaceX, Starlink satellites, or chipped eventually in your brain connected to Neuralink, you're in Elon Musk's world that is wholly allied with and economically dependent on the government's ever-expanding digital and censorship system across land, sea, and air. Look, the bottom line is, where Elon Musk begins and where Twitter ends, nobody knows, because the guy's fully a whore of the government. And if you don't believe that, again, as you go through this article, as you read all about it, what happened with our lawsuit, I have put that fact in here, okay? Because you need to really understand this, that Elon Musk is a complete whore, okay? And why do I say something so harsh and so quote unquote demeaning? Because it's just the facts. Let me just remind everyone, as a biologist, I'll tell you that, your gut has actually, your taste receptors, we actually have 25 taste receptors for bitter food, and we only have one for sweet food. So some idiots are telling me, oh, Shiva, you could win, Dr. Shiva, you could win a lot more followers if you gave them honey. It's actually not true. The body and biology is meant to accept bitter foods. It's very healing. Truth is bitter. Truth is not sweet. And the elites always want us to code it. So change never occurs because they want us to play on their turf. We're not going to do that, okay? I'm not going to do that. Other foolish people can do that. But here's the reality. Musk's SpaceX would not exist were it not for the government. SpaceX has received at least $5.4 billion from the government and has been repeatedly saved by the government from going bankrupt. Musk Tesla also exists because of government subsidies. Tesla's received at least 110 subsidies of over $2.5 billion. When was the last time your business got a subsidy from the government? This guy's not a genius. He basically has learned how to get subsidies, beg. And Tesla has gotten $2.5 billion in subsidies, separate from the fact they got $1.5 billion in carbon credits provided by the government. It is those carbon credits that made Tesla profitable from zero in value to 800 billion valuation. I hope people understand what I'm saying here. You go look at Tesla's profitability 2021, they weren't profitable. So they sold all the carbon credits, which they got from carbon tax of other people. You see, other companies were getting tax on carbon tax, so they sold their carbon credits to reduce their tax, and that quote unquote revenue is what allowed Elon Musk to become profitable, and that profitability boosted their valuation of their company, to over 600 billion. Yeah, so it doesn't, someone says he's a genius for getting money from the government. Well, not really, okay? What he's a genius at doing is where government ends and SpaceX begins, nobody wanted. Was it he who got it, or did government put this guy in a position to be supposedly some genius running all these companies? I don't doubt that's true, okay? So now, how many people thinking here on here think that Elon Musk and AOC support the same thing? How many people think that? I'm going to prove to you they do. And him, AOC, Elizabeth Warren are all on the same page. It's all a theatrics that's going on. And the goal is to take the remaining freedom-loving, quote-unquote, conservatives and bring them back into alignment to support carbon tax, everyone in their Teslas, and finally to merge carbon tax with cryptocurrency, with the central banks, and you create a digital cage. All right? So there's a lot of stuff I got to talk about, but the bitter truth I want to educate you all on is a nonsense of this fake science of climate change, which, and if you really think about Elon Musk, the guy's a drug addict. You know, he takes ecstasy, then he takes Adderall, then he takes pot, mushrooms, and I don't believe this guy is running all of this stuff. And I think it's insulting to people's mind to think this guy's behind all of this. Okay, it's absolutely insulting, and they're really denigrating working people in this country. So we need to wake the F up. Okay, so let me first begin. Before I jump into this, there's a little ticker running right there. It says, "Become a warrior scholar, learn how to think, truth, freedom, and health." As many of you know, all the videos I do, the movement that we've created, not only do we have truth here, we do these very deep systems analysis videos. We're always the first one, 2 years ahead, to share with you this truth. But on the other hand, we have our own independent, channel that we do. We have our own independent structure, which we'll talk about. But we are into building a movement, action. We're not just here talking truth, like these, professors, and just telling you how screwed up the world is. But we actually build a movement bottoms up. So it's very important to understand that. So I'm going to play you our video, and I'll come back with the features of the Truth, Freedom, Health movement. But I want all of you to become Truth, Freedom, Health warriors for your own sake, because it'll teach you the science of systems, but more importantly, how we liberate ourselves by ourselves, not waiting for Trump, not waiting for false gods, not waiting for Jared Kushner or the Qataris or the World Cup to do it. Okay, so let me play this video for you. We have allowed our country to be taken over from within, and the end goal is you will have a homogenized world where we will become slaves, because there is a condition among the elites that really thinks they're better than you, deep down inside them, that you don't deserve the freedoms you have. They don't. This reality is what people need to wake up to, and we need to all unite, working people. There's only one movement that can do that. And that is the movement that we started creating here in Massachusetts, the movement for truth, freedom, and health. Look, I've been a student of politics since I was a 4-year-old kid, studying revolutionary movements, left wing, right wing. There's a physics, there's a nuclear science to destroying the establishment. To build a bridge, you need to understand Newton's equation. You need to understand the laws of gravity. You need to understand Poisson's ratio. There is a way to build a revolution, and that's why I put this together. My goal is to train an army of truth, freedom, and health leaders. We don't need followers like social media. We need leaders, but they need training, because the educational system does not teach them history, nothing. So in 3 hours, that's what I've started doing. That's the solution. We got to train people. First, with understanding what a system is. The second is understanding the interconnection between truth, freedom, and health. Freedom is the ability to move freely, communicate freely, right? Talk freely. Without freedom, you cannot convert ideas, hypothesis into truth, which is science. And without freedom, you can't really get to truth. And without truth, you make up fake problems and fake solutions, which means you destroy our health. And without health, which is the infrastructure of us and our body, you can't fight for freedom. Third concept is it has to be bottoms up, working people, people who work uniting. And what the right wing has done is whenever you say working people unite, that must be communist. Meanwhile, they've let the Democrats run unions, which suppress workers. completely corrupt. But when you look at the arc of American history, it's been when working people came up. We need to go local. Every solution I'm coming up with as a part of this movement, we're giving the science, which is the truth, and then we tell people what they can do on the ground. Like with election fraud, you don't need to wait for some lawyer. Our goal is to train people, Dave, to go local, to go local, to go local, fight locally. Forget lawyers, forget politicians, forget celebrities. You got to learn politics, and there is a science to it. They lock us down, we should be ready to shut them down. And the fourth part of this principle is a not so obvious establishment. So when you look at a system, there's always something that disturbs you from getting to your goal. Well, the biggest disturbance is a not so obvious establishment, which are those people who claim they're for you, on the left and the right. The Al Sharptons who tell black people I'm for you. The Tucker Carlsons. Do you think any true anti-establishment person will ever be on Fox or CNN? I don't think so. They both mislead working people back into the establishment. Without this solid understanding of political physics and theory, you're screwed. You're going to follow on the left wing, Bernie Sanders. Oh, he said something. Or Robert Kennedy. Scumbags. Or you're going to follow, some right-wing talk show host. They're not going to lead us to liberation. It's us. And that political physics, it's a nuclear science of change. Bottoms up. We have to organize to understand that there is people who talk a good game and then look at what they actually do, left and right. I'm sorry, Sean Hannity may say some good things, but I don't see the urgency in his voice to get something done. And it can only come when you weaponize yourself with the right knowledge. You need to be able to identify a rat. Christ didn't go after the Romans, right? It was the Pharisees and the Sadducees who screwed him up. His own quote unquote people. And that's where we're at. So these four concepts I've built into a curriculum. People can go to vashiva.com, and it's an educational program. We need to train people in political theory. You need to have physics, and I've created that curriculum. People need to get educated. We need to get educated fast. And within a half an hour, I can teach people 2 years of MIT control systems. I teach people those concepts. Then I apply it. Anyone can understand it. And then you say, oh, I got to build a bottoms-up movement. They have to get politically astute, and then they have to go locally and act, not sit there on social media. They have to act locally, defy locally, do civil obedience locally, but with knowledge on how to build a movement. The Senate campaign's expanded to the Movement for Truth, Freedom, and Health, and they can find it on V as in Victor, A, Shiva, vashiva.com, so people can sign in. They can get access to a bunch of videos. If they want to take a course and become a Truth, Freedom, and Health leader, I offer a full scholarship there. But we want people to make a commitment that they'll study, that they'll get certified, that they'll go do activities on the ground. So go to VA Shiva, Victory America Shiva, vashiva.com. So one of the things you'll find is that the reason that when we exposed all of this 3 years ago, the reason that the conservative media grifters, quote unquote conservative media, didn't cover our stuff was because we were doing it independent of left or right. We were getting the news out without needing them. And that's dangerous because the left wing or the right wing, Democrats or Republicans, always want people stuck to them. And we did it independent of them. So when you go through this article that I just posted up there, and I really, really want you guys to do that because it took me a while to write it, but you'll also learn a tremendous amount. That as you go through this article, what you'll realize is that and I want you to go through this, is that you realize why the grifter media are so dedicated to distracting attention from the Truth, Freedom, and Health movement. And that's because we are independent, okay? We don't rely on them. And that's why we say that the only way forward is for us to unite, independent of left and right, make sure all of you learn the science of systems, why we need to build an independent movement. And the many, many victories we've had, our lawsuit victories, the first to expose, we were the first out there exposing the pandemic, the election systems issues. So all of you have a huge opportunity to recognize that we have to build a movement bottoms up. So every week, every Thursdays, we have a formal open house, and I invite all of you guys to come there because at the open house, you'll have a significant opportunity to meet many, many people. And let me just share that with you here. So go to vashiva.com, truthfreedomhealth.com, and I want you to all go to the open house, okay? 11 a.m. EDT or 8 p.m. EDT. Go to vashiva.com/orientation and take advantage of that, okay? So now, let's talk about the topic of today. Thank you, Data Expert Gambler, super sticker. Thank you very much. Let me talk about what we want to talk about. First of all, how many of you believe that the Democrats are into carbon tax and want to tax Americans and believe in this climate change nonsense? How many of you believe that? That is the Democrats. Yep. Anyone? All right. Someone says bread and circus for the masses. Yep. Wish I had the education to do it. By the way, you don't need, we have people who are estheticians, people who are plumbers, electricians, people of all backgrounds take the course. So you don't have to be, we've made it accessible to everyone. Okay. As Max says, take the systems course. No one else like you out there. You have my full support. You're welcome, Max. So let's, yes, everyone says yes. So let me now walk you through some videos that I have here, just that, you know, some things we already all know, but that I want to, go over with everyone. So everyone's absolutely clear that the Democrats definitely support all the fake science that we've been talking about on this entire climate stuff. Okay. So let me go over there and bring that up first. Okay. So which all of you are familiar with. So let me play this video here. So this is a video that's of the Democrats talking about, how many of them really believe in this climate change nonsense. Okay. And it is nonsense. Okay. And the problem is many people are getting caught in this fake science. But let me play this video by number of the Democratic nominees, each paying obeisance to the climate change.
Would you support a carbon tax? Some other candidates said they would.
Yeah, no, I would.
Yes to a carbon tax.
It's one of the reasons why I've proposed that we assess a carbon tax.
Do you support a carbon tax, and how much should it be?
I do support a carbon tax.
First of all, putting a price on carbon. I think that.
Okay, so basically, as you can see, all of those people, Elizabeth Warren, Joe Biden, Andrew Yang, Pete Buttigieg, all of them support a carbon tax. Okay, so the Democrats support a carbon tax. Got it? That's the first thing you need to understand. And that is based, and notice they use the word carbon. Okay? First of all, it's bullshit because they conflate carbon with CO2. That would be conflating hydrogen with H2O, okay? Or oxygen with H2O. I mean, either these people didn't learn basic chemistry or they're purposely trying to confuse people. Carbon, CO2, okay? The carbon in CO2 makes a molecule called carbon dioxide. Carbon is one of the elements in the periodic chart, okay? So now you could expect that from stupid politicians or imbecile politicians who don't know science, but you surely would not expect that from, like Elon Musk. But so now we all got it out there. Exactly. That is very sneaky. So we got it all out there that the Democrats support carbon tax, right? Now let's go and look at someone else, okay, which you all probably know and love, this idiot AOC. What does she say? So this is something out of Fox News where the Wall Street Journal person is talking about the economy and talking about taxes. And again, we're going to talk about AOC here.
And not only do they want to reverse everything that has got us to that position, make individuals pay higher taxes, saddle corporate America with one of the worst tax rates in the world again. But in addition, from that clip you played, she also wants a new tax, a carbon tax on top of it.
Right.
And I don't know if these people are living in another planet where things aren't getting better or if they are.
So that's AOC, okay? So AOC also believes in a carbon tax, right? So again, AOC believes in a carbon tax, and the Democrats believe in a carbon tax, right? So that's the first thing we need to understand. All of these people support a carbon tax, right? So at least we got that out of the way, all right? So Democrats, Elizabeth Warren supports a carbon tax. Joe Biden supports a carbon tax. AOC, who's seen as the far left, also supports a carbon tax. Question is, does Elon Musk support a carbon tax? Does Elon Musk support a carbon tax? Okay. Does Elon Musk support a carbon tax? So let's go to the video as we want to do. Let's go to the video. Okay. So here's Elon Musk. He looks like he's toked up on all sorts of drugs. I can't believe people think this guy's actually intelligent. Okay. Just listen to this.
I mean, my top recommendation, honestly, would be just to have a carbon tax.
Okay. So Elon Musk also supports a carbon tax. All right. They all support a carbon tax. Now let's listen to this fools. And that's what Elon Musk is, because I never thought, a lot of people have been telling me that he's an actor, and I didn't believe this until I saw this video, a video he gave at one of the Paris Accords meetings, okay? And you'll realize that he's just reading off cue cards. Yeah, Cheech Musk, exactly. All right, so let's go over to this analysis that he gives about why, and you're going to see it's total fake science. And by the way, share this video right now with everyone, okay? So let me go up here and let's go to this drug addicted individual talking about his analysis of climate change. Okay, so here we go. This is him, Elon Musk, talking about climate change, and he's literally reading from cue cards.
The result is that a steady increase in the carbon in the atmosphere and in the oceans, which doesn't look like much if you look at it on this chart, but when looked at in the context of history, it actually looks like this. So the carbon parts per million has really been bouncing around the 300 level for around 10 million years. And then in the last few hundred years, it went into a vertical climb. This is the essence of the problem. This is very unusual. So the problem, this is...
Okay, so he's talking about, he's basically lying, okay? He's talking about the last few hundred, whatever years, that suddenly carbon has gone up, okay? And then he proceeds to go on and say, oh, it's obvious that CO2 levels are associated with temperature increase. So let's go back to that, all right? And I'm going to prove to you that this is just garbage science. He doesn't know what he's talking about, and he doesn't know anything about the climate, but let's continue with his nonsense.
Very unusual, and a very, very extreme threat, as you can see from this rate of growth. Then this is accompanied by a temperature increase, as one would expect.
Temperature increase as one would expect, okay? So he said a bunch of lies here. He used the word carbon. And if you go back to that, he used the word carbon, but the axis says CO2. Okay, so he's using carbon, which exactly. Someone said sounds like Al Gore, another idiot, okay? So he's conflating carbon with CO2. And then let me go on to another part of this video. And then he uses this as a basis to say, therefore, because temperature will increase because of CO2, or has increased because of that, he makes that leap. Because of that, therefore, we should have a carbon tax. Okay, so let's go over to that. And I queued all this little clips up for you guys. So let's go over to that. So this is where he says that.
So that means we need to have a carbon tax, and to make it sort of something which is neither.
Okay, so there you go. So basically, carbon, CO2 is the same, which isn't. So Elon Musk clearly was smoking weed and doing drugs when he took supposedly his science classes at University of Pennsylvania. Carbon, again, Elon, is an element on the periodic table, just like hydrogen. And CO2 is something that plants need for their survival, okay? So here's someone who says, Sweet Mask says Elon is not on our site. No, he isn't, okay? And this is the idiocracy that we need to get over, because Sweet Mask, you need to stop being a star fucker and thinking that Elon's going to save you, okay? You need to save yourself, and we need to build a movement, all right? So bottom line, he's conflating carbon with CO2, which is what all the scammers do. And then he shows a graph of suddenly saying, oh my God, CO2 levels are going up. And then on top of it, he says CO2 is definitively associated with actual temperature increase. Let's look on the actual data now, okay? This data actually comes from scientists who've done this work, okay? So let's go that and look at the actual data, okay? Instead of listening to a guy who smokes weed all day and does mushrooms and needs Adderall all day and claims he's some genius, where, by the way, he didn't create Tesla. It was created by someone else. He didn't create PayPal. SpaceX was going bankrupt. It's basically, it's a NASA company, okay? So let's go right here, all right? This is the actual amount of CO2 recorded by actual scientific data since over 600 million years. What do you see here? Over 600 million years, CO2 today is at the lowest levels. So Elon Musk is looking at a little peak here, which is nothing, and saying, oh my God, CO2 levels are going high. In fact, CO2 levels are the lowest that they've ever been, ever, okay? So in fact, if it goes below 180 parts per million, everything on Earth dies. In fact, in the 1800s, it was the lowest around 200. We're lucky it's at 400. In fact, it should be higher. More CO2, plants derive more food for all of us. And what do these guys want to do? They want to choke the Earth? What are they talking about? Okay. So first of all, just look at this graph. So Elon Musk is a bullshitter because he's taking graphs that are coming from the Al Gores of the world, but this is the actual graph. Okay. CO2 is at the lowest level it's been. So that's a big lie. We're talking about CO2. The next thing we want to talk about is he lied. He said CO2 and temperature increases are always correlated. Is that true? Let's go back to some science. And this is the actual science. And you're getting this from an MIT PhD, not from a guy who claims he knows some science and bullshits people, okay? This is the actual graph here. What do you see here? The red line represents heat, okay? Temperature increases. The blue line is CO2 levels. Well, look at this. CO2 levels is low, temperature is high. In fact, it's high. It's totally uncorrelated. In fact, over here, you see what's going on here, but it's uncorrelated, okay? So CO2 levels are here, temperatures here. So any kindergartner would know that CO2 levels and temperature levels at, on a good case are uncorrelated. In fact, in the best case, they're actually inversely correlated, as you can see here. High temperature, okay? You can see over here, high temperature, low CO2. See, here CO2 levels are going up. Temperature is going up, CO2 is coming down. So what are you talking about? So this guy is an idiot. He's just making up shit. So please get your head out of your ass thinking that Elon has integrity. Please, someone go educate this woman, Sweet Mask, because if Sweet Mask understood, either Elon has sent her over here, or she's dumb, or she's part of the government surveillance and censorship system putting up garbage, okay? Elon has no integrity. He is by the government for the government. He's a whore of the government. SpaceX wouldn't exist without $5.7 billion. Tesla would not be profitable. Because of Tesla's profitability, that's how he was able to get a loan off that to buy Twitter. And Twitter would not be worth $50 billion if they did not put that portal in the back so they could be branded a platform, which is a 10x multiple on revenue, okay? So I think Sweet Mask, someone is fake. So goodbye, Sweet Mask. You're out of here. I'm exercising my First Amendment rights. Thank you very much. You're gone. We don't want idiots here, okay? All right. So again, now finally, all these guys make this shit up. Oh my God, climate change. We have all the data. The models are showing that the temperature is going to keep growing up. So I actually went and got the data of 110 of the climate change models, and another scientist averaged all of them, and they show the sloping curve going up. And then you look at the actual data, okay? Let's look at the actual data, because that's what science is. It's not based on your freaking opinion. It's based on actual data. So this is all those lines here are 110 models from the Paris Accords climate change bullshitters, okay? And you see when you average all those 110, 102 models, they all go up, saying that temperature is going to keep going up and up and up. Look at that graph. But this is the actual temperature. It's pretty much a flat line. You see, because this is a margin of error, 0.2 degrees, 0.4. You got to look at the y-axis. This is a margin of error. So it's basically a flat line, okay? And this comes from balloon data, satellite data, as well as real analysis, okay? RIA analysis. There you go. So what am I saying here? Elon Musk is a bullshitter. He's saying the exact same bullshit that Al Gore was saying, the same bullshit that Elizabeth Warren was saying, same bullshit that AOC was saying. In fact, I predict into the next year, you're going to see AOC and Elon Musk on the stage together. Okay. In fact, very recently, when Elon Musk did this whole thing, he said, oh my God, I was being doxxed and doxxed and doxxed. And he took off the New York Times people. Suddenly it was all about child safety. My child was, being, unsafe. Whenever you hear the word child safety, be ready that whoever uses that word is going to get ready for more restrictions and regulations to oppress you. This is how they did the vaccine stuff. Oh my God, our kids are unsafe. Boom. We need, all these vaccines. Oh my God, our kids are unsafe. We need more gun control. So whenever they do the child safety, that is a dog whistle for regulations. And right now, Elizabeth Warren and the scumbag warmonger Lindsey Graham are working together to put together a new set of bills to basically make legal the illegality of that back-end portal. The reason I'm not going to tweet on Twitter is because it's a threat to me, because I'm still a U.S. Senate candidate and the government still runs that, and they could throw me off for good and say, oh, see, Twitter did it. So anyone who goes back on Twitter doesn't understand this. It's actually foolish. So all of these dumbass conservatives thanking Elon Musk, wanting to suck him off or something. It's like, you're really freaking stupid, because a guy still has that backroom portal. He praises the FBI and the entire CISA, Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, which was created by Trump, created that. Okay? Right. So Desiree says, unfortunately, a lot of conservatives on Twitter think Elon's their savior. Yeah, he's leading them right up into AOC and Elizabeth Warren's butt to go do climate change. Okay? That's where this is going. And when you take carbon tax, so once you start taxing all humans, and they're going to have to buy carbon credits to offset their tax, and then you take carbon credits and you merge it with cryptocurrency, which is also about to take place. A startup just got funded $2 billion to do that merger. And then you have the central banks controlling it. And you're being watched from space with SpaceX Starlink satellites. Your Teslas are basically surveillance systems. And you're on another surveillance system called Twitter. It's a digital cage. But they have to get conservatives believing in the carbon tax. Now, many years ago, I was the first to do a real analysis. I think that video it used to get about 10, 20 million views, but I found the original one on Twitter, which was a video I did really explaining to people what is carbon tax and carbon credits. And I'm going to play that for all of you right now, because you need that education to really strengthen your understanding of this. So again, let me cue this up for all of you. So it's a video that I did many, many years ago and it's still very, very valid on what is going on here with the carbon tax. So let me make it a little bigger, and I'm going to play it for all of you. Here we go.
Why was essentially going to support an international collusion to basically support the polluting of our environment, and more importantly, to basically tax all of us, businesses, small businesses, big businesses, primarily a lot of small businesses, and every consumer here with a carbon tax. And it's a very simple exposition of this, and I hope I make it clear to you. And obviously, if you have questions, we're periscoping, you're welcome to join us. First of all, let me explain something very basic here. So in this circle, let's consider the fact that we have a lot of businesses here. These are businesses throughout the world. And these businesses, are producing different things. And let's assume these are typically manufacturing businesses. They take resources, raw materials, they process stuff, and out comes products from these businesses, which typically go to the consumer. There are a lot of consumers here. This is, you and me over here. And we buy these products and we pay this company some dollar amount. Now, many of these companies, because of the manufacturing process, do put out carbon and CO2 into the environment. Let's call that broadly, pollution, okay? Pollution in the term of CO2, all right? So these are these greenhouse gases that they emit into the atmosphere. This is, let's call it before the Paris Accords. This is what's taking place. Again, businesses take resources, they create products, we buy them, and we pay some fee for them, and these businesses have been polluting. Now, has anything changed post the Paris Accords? And let's use the date 2030, as this is supposed to be an important date per the Paris Accords. So what happens here? Here again, I'm going to draw the same circle. We have the businesses, and let's put the year now 2030. And what occurs in 2030? These businesses still exist, let's say. Again, these are the businesses. And they are creating products, as I mentioned before, to us as consumers. Same situation. This is, again, you and me. And these consumers pay some fee for these products. And guess what? They're still polluting. And I'll give you some numbers on this. In fact, they're polluting a lot more, as we'll see. But something very interesting happens. For the pollution they do, they have to now pay an organization, which I'm going to call, in double quotes, the IPCC. And this group is composed of people like Al Gore, people like the Bushes, many people from the commodities market, and essentially a global elite in here of quote unquote scientists. A dollar goes here, dollars go in, and these people deliver these people something called carbon credits. And what this allows these companies to do now is to pollute, but in order to pollute, they have to pay this organization a fee, and this organization issues carbon credits. In fact, it gets even more interesting. These carbon credits, if you look at the commodities market, the global commodities market, these carbon credits are bought and sold here on this commodities market to people. And this generates the ability for this group to generate trillions, not billions, let me explain, trillions of dollars in new source of wealth. So these carbon credits were created by this group as a vehicle to essentially charge polluters something, and this group has the potential to make trillions and trillions of dollars. So how did this all happen, and what was the Paris Accords? Well, the front end for this entire organization, by the way, Al Gore substantially at a certain point monopolized and had access to a large number of carbon credits, which he had accumulated, and his goal was to have a payday by forcing these businesses in the future around post 2030 to buy these carbon credits. And if you actually look at this, the IPCC's PR, I call it their PR machine, was what we call the Paris Accords. The Paris Accords was really their PR engine to get this out as though everyone needed to get on board. And what the US, if you look at the United States here, put the flag here, the US was being forced by the IPCC. By the way, this included establishment Democrats and establishment Republicans, who were essentially telling the US government that it needed to create what we call a green fund. And this green fund, and I'll explain what this was really about, the US was going to have to put $100 billion into this green fund. And what was this $100 billion for? Well, remember, the countries who are polluting really didn't want to be part of this. They didn't really want to be part of the Paris Accords. Why? Because they have to pay fees to the IPCC. So how do you get them to be part of this? So if I do this over here, what I call the influencers of these countries, influencers of countries. So for example, if you take India, China, and you go down the list of what they call about 190 plus countries, remember all these people have influencers, so-called advisors. This $100 billion number was going to be funneled through different NGOs to essentially pay off. And in fact, people had already gotten agreements that if they joined the Paris Accords, that they're going to get dollars funneled to them. This is why people were involved in this. In fact, some of the WikiLeaks stuff came out. Jairam Ramesh, one of the key advisors in India. Originally, if you go look at it, he said that the glaciers were not receding, And later on, it was stated that the glaciers were receding. And in a recent email in WikiLeaks, he was actually thanking John Podesta for making all of this occur. So you have to really start thinking about what took place. But fundamentally, Trump wanted to exit this because I think Trump realized what was really going on. And what was really going on is this. The mafia of the IPCC was using the United States instrument, our Congress, our tax dollars, to funnel about $100 billion here. So we would pay off these people to join the Paris Accords. Now, let me just tell you, 100 billion is relatively small amount because these guys are going to make trillions. So let me follow this through again so you get it. Businesses today are polluting. Just to give you an example, China today pollutes around 11 billion tons of carbon into the atmosphere. 11 billion tons of carbon. That's what they're doing today. By 2030, between now and 2030, guess what? China's still allowed to pollute. In fact, China is allowed to go up to 22 billion tons, which means they're allowed to go 11 billion tons in carbon, which means they're going to pollute more. They're going to double their pollution during this period. No penalties. And that's how they got China to join. After 2030, there's going to be a big payday for these guys because they're going to be able to sell China carbon credits. I hope everyone's following. The bottom line is these set of 190, in many ways, so-called influencers and advisors, many of them essentially are waiting for this $100 billion payday, supported the Paris Accords because they're going to be paid. And that's how they force their countries' prime ministers and people to say, yeah, we got to join this Paris Accords. The reality is when you step back and look at this diagram, who really profits is the outlets who are going to make money on carbon credits as they fluctuate and rapidly grow in price post 2030.
So let me stop it there. So because I want all of you to understand, I hope this is valuable. Does everyone get this? So you create carbon tax. And by the way, I did that video many years ago. I think it got many, many millions of views. And it was a carbon tax. So the reason Musk wants carbon tax is because there's a limited number of carbon credits. Tesla sells carbon credits and they make their money on carbon credits. Okay? He makes his money. The carbon credits, again, if you look at Tesla's P&L, if they didn't have carbon credits, they wouldn't have achieved profitability. They were $0 in value of the company relatively, and now they're worth $600, $800 billion in value. And it was because of that value, he became 200 billionaire. It's all based on bullshit. The guy's a bullshitter. He's a PR marketing machine. Now, Tesla claims they don't do any marketing, but if you look at his nearly 150 million followers on Twitter, he'll go, free speech, I'm for free speech, while he keeps that back-end portal going. And then boom, he said, Tesla, free speech. It's called cause-related marketing. But he's really not going after the real free speech issue. He still has that back-end portal growing. All of these Republican, quote-unquote, conservative, dumb people are thinking he's fighting for their freedom. And in fact, over the last several months, more conservatives are buying Teslas. And in fact, more Republicans trust Tesla than do Democrats. You guys get it? I hope you guys are getting it. Okay? Yes. Someone says, if you buy the COVID fraud, you'll buy the carbon fraud. Thank you, BB. Excellent. Okay? So it is our movement, the Movement for Truth, Freedom, and Health, which first of all, expose the COVID stuff. We're the ones who expose the carbon fraud. Years ago, back in 2016, we really did that analysis. We're always ahead of the curve because we take a systems approach beyond left or right. Okay? All of these other grifters follow. And right now, Elon Musk is the PR person. Okay? So question is, how do we stop this? Great question. How do we stop this? Well, we're the ones, Roulette, who did stop it because we're the ones who first 2-3 years ago exposed that backroom portal to Twitter. We exposed the pandemic issue first. We exposed the election system stuff. The problem is we keep exposing stuff and our movement keeps growing, but all of you need to get off your butts and stop believing in Democrats and Republicans. You need to believe in yourselves. You need to start having some self-respect. And that's why we created the Movement for Truth, Freedom, and Health. And that movement gives you the tools to build a bottoms-up movement. I'm going to play you, and I have still about 20 minutes left to go, but I want to play you this very important video because you need to understand we need to build a bottoms-up movement. And go to truthfreedomhealth.com and you'll understand that movement contribute to it, support it. That's what makes all of our research possible. We're not dependent on some NGO. We work together. We have close to 350,000 people now globally who've joined this movement. 350,000 people. And when you go and really understand this movement, let me bring it up here, you'll understand that this is truly a bottoms-up movement. It's independent of left or right. We're not waiting for, Dinesh D'Souza or, Charlie Kirk, one of those grifter guys, to, help us, because they will not help us, because we're independent of Donald Trump. We're independent of Joe Rogan. We're independent of all these grifters who are in one camp or the other. And that movement for truth, freedom, and health is accessible to all of you. So let me take, and this is how we win. And this is why our movement has constantly been winning, because we go to the heart of the issue. And the heart of the issue is you need to get educated. And that education is going to come when you take full advantage of these 12 different unique things that we put together. First of all, we have 360,000 people in 95 countries. And when you go here, you're not going to see Elon Musk here, Donald Trump. You're going to see people like Jill, and who's a homeschooler, Frank, who's an electrician, and Tim, who's an entrepreneur. You're going to see everyday people tell their stories, how truth, freedom, and health has transformed their lives. And you'll see that we win. We're not a bunch of losers. We keep winning wherever you go. But the key thing we have identified is, though there's lots and lots of information out there, and this is where people are getting bamboozled. Oh my God, I see this information. Tucker Carlson is telling me something. I must trust him. Or I see on the left, CNN is telling me something. Or you see some social media posts. In spite of all this information, it doesn't mean people have more truth, more freedom, more health. In fact, 2.5 billion people are obese, okay? Close to 700 million people are anxious and depressed. And the reason this is occurring is because it's a system of ignorance. The people in power do not want to tell you the whole truth. They tell you a little piece of it. So everyone here thinks that Elon Musk is doing free speech. What he's doing is he's conflating Twitter's right to moderate over here, but he's not talking about the backdoor portal. He wants you to forget about that, because he needs to suck up to government, because government gives him Section 230 immunity, which gives Twitter their $50 billion valuation. You see, the Section 230 immunity is critical for Twitter to get their $50 billion valuation, because a platform, which is what Twitter is, gets 10 times revenue. Twitter makes $5 billion in revenue. They get a $50 billion valuation. Let's say the New York Times made $5 billion in revenue. They only get a $10 million valuation on the stock market. Why? Because they're a publisher. You can sue the New York Times if someone there posts a defamatory story. But if someone posts something on Twitter that's defamatory, you cannot sue them, because they're a platform. And in order to be a platform, they've had to make certain relationships with government, which is a portal that we discovered first, which was used to throw me off Twitter. Okay? So understand that where government begins and Elon Musk ends, nobody knows. He's a PR false god for pushing this climate science bullshit, the same as AOC, the same as Elizabeth Warren, to get the masses of people on the world carbon taxed. And his people can fly around in all their jets, and they will sell their carbon credits and make money while they're flying around their jets. Okay. And the important thing to understand is once you take the carbon credit exchange and you merge it with the crypto exchange, centralized in central banks, all of us are in digital cages. Yeah, he's a definite cuck. Thank you very much, Chris. But we have got to expose all of these dumb freaking conservatives who are misleading the true freedom-loving Americans, wherever they are, beyond left and right. So Elon Musk is a front face. Thank you, Subra Mazumdar. Okay, thank you very much. Must seen FIFA with Jared Kushner. Yeah, I mean, come on. Why is anyone even participating in the World Cup at Qatar? Qatar, it does not believe in freedom. They live in the Middle Ages. They have no regard for anyone, any human being. And there is Jared Kushner, got $2 billion sucking up to the Saudis with Elon Musk, with all these Qataris. Come on, with the Qatari elite. They treat their people like dirt, okay? So the mission for all of you guys and the homework assignment is number one, go read that article that I put up for all of you guys. I'm putting it up again. Go read this, study it, and you'll understand what a scumbag Elon Musk is and why he's a false god, why Trump is a false god, and why the left and the right are coming together to subjugate everyone out there. That's what's really going on, okay? They're going to subjugate the freedom-loving people. And Elon Musk is the front face of that. But Elon Musk, as I've said, equals AOC. Elon Musk equals Elizabeth Warren. Elon Musk equals carbon tax. And it's dollars for them, not for you. He made all of his money, all of his Tesla money comes from carbon credits. Repeat. He's a billionaire because of his carbon credits from Tesla, which comes from the bogus concept of carbon tax. And now he's got Twitter, and now he wants to bring in all these conservatives who in their guts know something's wrong with climate change, but he's got to get them on board. And that's what this quote unquote bogus free speech stuff he's doing. And I call it bogus free speech because he has not destroyed the back room portal. And everything he's doing is stealing our stuff, but not going at the heart of it. It's called a limited hangout. Okay. And I want you, all of you, to study very, very closely this analysis that I did. Again, I'm going to bring up this article that I wrote. It took me a lot of time to write this. And I did it for all of you to really help all of you really decipher what's going on. And if you go here and you study this article, again, the article is up there again. It's called Elon Musk equals censorship and surveillance, a false god leading you to slavery, how we win back freedom. And again, the way we win back freedom is to build our independent movement. And you'll find out, again, we were the ones who exposed the censorship infrastructure. But when you go to the end of this article, we have a way forward, okay? And that way forward is the following, okay? What we want to, let me go to the end of this article. What is to be done? The only way to win back freedom is first to unite beyond left and right to grow the movement for truth, freedom, health. The only force on the planet that is dedicated to building a bottoms-up educational movement founded on the science of system that seeks to find real solutions to real problems independent of left and right. You will learn the foundations of systems, the science that the elites learn. You'll get the books, the papers. You'll get access to special lectures. I do one-on-ones. This Thursday, I'll put it up again, 11 a.m. and 8 p.m. Join us. And then we have a huge growing community. And then we actually have our own version of Twitter, Facebook, but we use it for ourselves and we have on-the-ground tools. The bottom line is a billionaire who's dependent on the government cannot be the source of our freedom. Only a movement that breaks free from false gods, pseudo-intellectuals, and grifters can win back freedom. The dismantling of the government and big tech censorship infrastructure described by Shiva is an American concern that goes way beyond left and right, okay? And let this disclosure of Musk's deception compel all hardworking Americans at the level of everyday people to unite and build a real movement for freedom that relies on the unity neighbor to neighbor. It's time to stop outsourcing our civic duty to false gods from above. It's our historic duty as Americans to get off our butts and to take control of our destiny. And that's what truth, freedom, and health is. So the good news, everyone, you don't have to run chasing your tail. Please stop sucking up to Donald Trump or Elon Musk, or if you're on the left, AOC and Elizabeth Warren. We have to break from all these fools. We have to have confidence in ourselves, and we have to build a movement. Truth, freedom, and health is that movement because we provide you all that infrastructure. Anyway, in summary, the entire carbon climate change stuff is a complete fiction. It's not based on real science. It's actually a quasi-religion. And every academic in the universities are all whores now. They're all prostitutes. Very few people even say anything against it because of the money that they've given these people. So the government and universities have become one. The government wants to subjugate all the citizenry. So they feed these people money to write bullshit up because that's how they're controlling people. Elon Musk is part of that. He wants to build, him and government are one. And talking about free speech, when we spoke about it, exposed it in 2020, 3 years later, too little, too late. after we've all been screwed, and then putting conservatives on Twitter and conservatives bowing down to this false god is so disgusting. It's a disgrace. So M. Ball says, who should we suck up to? You should suck up to no one. You should have dignity for yourselves. And you have to relearn how to think. And what we're doing with Truth, Freedom, and Health is to be that catalyst. So people start realizing who we are. We're free human beings. We're supposed to use our brains and our minds to remember what it means to be a human being. And so, again, I encourage you all to come this Thursday at 11 a.m. and 8 p.m. We have an open house. You'll get to meet people from all over the world. But it is our movement which started hammering Elon Musk. When I put up that article, within 12 hours, I was put up. He thinks just because I go back on that my goal is to get on Twitter. Let me tell you, on October 30th, 2020, I could have been put back on Twitter then by the judge. And in our lawsuit, the judge just wanted me to go back on Twitter and drop all my claims against the government. I refused. And then he wanted to reprimand me for that. It's not about Twitter. It's a fact that big tech companies have this backroom portal, and until that's demolished, there's no freedom. And right now, Elizabeth Warren and Lindsey Graham are getting ready to write laws which will retroactively give them immunity for this illegal activity that they've been doing. And why do I say this? Because in early 2000, under the George Bush administration, when government was using telecommunications companies to wiretap people, when people found out about this, there were lawsuits. The Congress passed a law to make that legal retroactively, and that's what they're going to do. So please educate your friends. Use this video. Go read that article. But for God's sake, stop sucking, be it Elon Musk, be it Robert Kennedy, be it Donald Trump, be it AOC, all of these false gods from above. And go look at the history of our videos over the last 5 years, and you'll see we were way ahead in calling this shit out. And we're building a bottoms-up movement. And that's why they do not cover us. The question is there's no question who first discovered that portal. Dr.SHIVA files preceded the Twitter files, okay? But they didn't want to cover us, particularly these conservative grifters, because that would mean more people would break from these right-wing people and the left-wing people and come to our movement, okay? You have to look at when do people cover the truth, not if they do it, okay? When. After a house burns down, coming and you saw it burn down and you didn't report it, a year later coming and saying that you covered the house burning down is not a leader, okay? That's called an opportunist. So anyway, I encourage all of you to get off your ass. And one of the reasons you need to get off your butts, and I keep telling you, go read this article, because there's a very important piece I have in there, and I'll highlight that piece again in this article. Let me go right here. One of the most important elements of this article that comes out is a section where I talk about the analysis of truth and action. And let me close on this. The movement for truth, freedom, and health teaches the science of systems so you may uncover truth, the whole truth. But that's only one part of it, and encourages you to take action so as to educate your fellow human beings here and now, neighbor to neighbor, to make change bottoms up so we win back freedom. Those who seek real change learn the power of coupling truth with action. So that's very important, okay? Our movement tells you the truth, and then we get people on the ground, and we come on Thursday, you'll find out what kind of activities we do. But those who tell you lies and half-truths, which is what that's what Elon Musk is doing. He's telling you half-truths. The force of power, profit, control are all about spreading lies and half-truths, using limited hangouts where they just give a piece of a story, aim to lead you to inaction and to make you lazy, so you outsource your future to false gods from above, who will deliver you nothing but slavery. Those who are lazy love being entertained by lies and half-truths. So any idiot out there, I see, oh my God, Elon, as though he's your friend. He's not your friend. You basically are lazy because you just want the half-truth. You don't want the whole truth. So if you want the half-truth and you want to be entertained, please go sucking up to Elon Musk, Donald Trump, etc. But if you want the whole truth and you want to get off your butt, you got to be part of the movement. Now, the more insidious people, you notice that we first exposed the entire backroom portal to Twitter, okay? and all these grifters concealed it. Tucker Carlson concealed it. And then 2 years later, suddenly the DHS leaks gave you a little piece of the truth, which was a plagiarism of our stuff, trying to take credit. And then more recently, the scumbag Stephen Miller, who was Trump's former advisor, said, oh my God, we found this portal. Well, that's part of this bigger deception. And in their final and most deceptive assault to derail people from developing their self-confidence in their ability to make change happen, the forces of power, profit, and control will do an unlimited hangout, which means they tell you the whole truth, where they share the truth, but tell folks, don't worry, we, your false gods, Trump, Musk, will handle it. Sit tight. Such deception is to decouple truth from action. So yeah, you tell all the truth, but you don't tell people to act on their own. You tell people to go to them, so that everyday people remain enslaved and wait forever, hoping one day change occurs, and are in this process diverted from the truth, freedom, and health movement, which teaches you to couple truth with action. Okay? In fact, this is what Donald Trump just did. He said, oh my God, I'm going to take down this portal. Well, Trump is the one who created that infrastructure. Okay? All right. That's what we need to do. So someone here, Salmoninas, is being also very dumb. Okay? You're sorry, Salmoninas. I'm not going to use Twitter until that backroom portal's taken down, because I'm not going to be honeypotted into something and then take me off and then say, see, the government did it, Twitter did it. You see, Twitter has the right to moderation, and over here is the government. Very different. Until that portal is removed, I could have been on Twitter, sorry, Salmonias, 2 years ago if I had done that agreement with the judge. I refuse to do that. So don't make me a sucker, okay? Don't you be a sucker, okay? For God's sake, stop being stupid. And I have to use the word dumb because I used to think conservatives were smart, but I'm convinced now they're actually dumb, the quote-unquote conservatives, because they keep thinking Elon Musk is saving them. All right, any other questions? All right. Build a movement for truth, freedom, and health. Become independent of both of these parties. Stop sucking up to false gods. I've just shared with you the facts. Review this video. Do your own thinking about what I'm saying, okay? Stop going with the wind, okay? Stop doing that unless you want to be a slave, unless you want to be, and some of you who are supporting this are either part of that domestic censorship infrastructure, or you're dumb, or you support this. No, if you're on Twitter, you can go do it, but I'm running for office. I'm not going to go on Twitter now and then get thrown off, and then I'm screwed, okay? I'm not going to go on Twitter. I'm not going to do any tweeting until that backroom portal is taken down and the government officials who threw me off are held accountable. That's called a principled stand, okay? How do we join you in New Zealand? Catherine, Heather, and other people tell you. But we have lots and lots of people all over the world. We have people in 95 countries. We're building a global movement independent of left or right. Please break from Trump, break from AOC, break from Elizabeth Warren, break from the Republicans and Democrats. Join the movement for truth, freedom, health, okay? Yeah, Elon is a fucking troll. That's what he is, all right? And we may decide to actually run for president because people don't have any choices anymore. But our number one commitment is to build a movement for truth, freedom, and health. I'm going to play you a final video so you'll understand all the things we've put together for you. But everyone, become a warrior scholar today. Hello, this is Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai. Welcome to VA Shiva, the platform of education, technology, and activism, so you may raise your consciousness to win the truth, freedom, and health you need to create the future you deserve. The VA Shiva platform provides its truth, freedom, health warrior scholars the following 3 capabilities. Number 1, an ultimate education that is based on the science of systems. Number 2, technologies to empower you to take charge of your health, as well as social media tools, independent of big tech, so you can connect with other incredible truth, freedom, health warrior scholars equally dedicated like you to winning truth, freedom, and health. 3, instruments for activism, so you become a beacon of light in your online and offline community to educate others, growth, and advancement. VA Shiva provides you the foundations of the science of systems, the ultimate education. The science of systems provides you the missing fundamental scientific knowledge to understand every system in and around you. The science of systems will enable you to uncover the real problem and real solution in any situation and on any issue. Concerning the educational component, first you will receive direct access access to me to learn the science of systems in my 3-hour live private online group class that I run every week. Second, you will have access to archived lectures so you can continue your education independent of me. Third, you can test your proficiency in learning the fundamental principles and get a formal certification for the foundations of systems. Independent of this classroom education, you will receive also 4 important books. The first book is the best-selling classic Systems and Revolution, from which you can learn all of these concepts and more. The second book is The Science of Everything, that will educate you on how the science of systems is the foundational knowledge of every system in the universe. The third book, Your Body, Your System, focuses on how to understand the interplay of these systems within your own body. And then the fourth book, Your System, Your Life, will help you apply these principles to other aspects of your life, such as running a business, understanding relationships, and more. Beyond the curriculum and books, the second capability is the technologies that you will be afforded. One of them is a powerful Your Body, Your System software, which is an online laboratory where you can use your body as a system to further deepen your understanding of the science of systems. The tool allows you to understand what kind of system you are. Is your system on course or is it off course? And how the inputs of food, supplements, herbs, activities such as sleep, yoga, meditation, exercise can affect your body to bring it back on course. Finally, to support your education, I've also included a seminal scientific paper that I wrote, which will help you understand that the knowledge of systems, it does not only originate in the modern world starting in the 1920s and 30s, but it actually dates back 10 to 20,000 years and intersects directly with the foundations of Eastern systems of medicine. In addition to this, you will also get 2 scientific papers sharing how the science of systems can also be used to apply to understanding how food is medicine. One paper exposes turmeric from the molecular systems level and how it affects your body. The other paper explores ginger and how that affects your body. That's just the educational piece. As you raise your consciousness through this education, you will likely want to connect with other Truth, Freedom, Health warrior scholars in an environment where you can connect and build community. To support that, I've also created 2 powerful social media tools. One of them is a VA Shiva forum. Here you can start discussions, you can pose questions and meet others and have healthy debates. The other is VA Shiva Social, where you can create your own profile, your own presence, like other major social media tools. However, it is independent of big tech. You can use VA Shiva Social to interconnect with your fellow Truth, Freedom, Health warrior scholars and build community. Beyond the education capability and the social media capability, the platform also enables you to take action by disseminating your knowledge on the ground and into your local online and offline communities. Powerful educational cards and research are included so you can pass these cards to your friends and neighbors that provide them summarized content which further directs them to online research and education. In addition to this, the activism component also provides you many short 1-minute educational video content, memes, and text, allowing you to quickly craft messages for your Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and other pages so you can deliver content to educate others and drive them to longer educational posts on VA Shiva. VA Shiva is fundamentally an enabling platform for you to get the truth, freedom, and health you deserve through education, technology, and activism. I hope you become a Truth, Freedom, and Health warrior scholar today. Thank you. All right, everyone. I hope that was helpful. I know I hit you with a lot of information, a lot of bitter truth there, but it is the truth. Your body knows how to absorb it and it'll heal you and it'll advance you. So contribute to Truth, Freedom, Health, become a warrior scholar, Truth, Freedom, and Health. And I wish all of you a very good night. And as I always say, be the light. Thank you.